Hello, everyone. Okay, so obviously a weird setup, so I'm gonna just do a little preliminary test to make sure you can hear me. If anybody in chat that is around wants to give me a heads up there. Uh, it does look like we're okay, though. It's a very tight shot, though, so hopefully you guys can hear me. I can see bars on the sound, so we might as well begin. First of all, thank you, everyone. This is a preliminary setup for maybe what will be a podcast once again. Framing is bothering me a bit, so I'm going to adjust it slightly because, yeah, it doesn't look so great. Sorry. Adjustments. This is why we're not podcasting yet. JB says that they should bring back the original signage at the front gates or something like that, resembles its likeness. We got a lot to talk about. I'm sure that people have gotten the survey, or maybe some people haven't. So that's obviously the main discussion that I want to have today. And also just talk in relation to Wonderland in general, its relationship to this channel, the future of this channel in relationship to Wonderland as well, and obviously the big announcement that has just come down the line. The framing still bothers me, so I'm gonna adjust this again. Do we really need to see the city? I don't think so. So maybe we'll just turn this around. And we'll take a seat. And we'll turn our computer around so that way we can actually see you guys as well. All right, there we go. Okay, that's better. Much better. It just rained, but this is the only spot. This feels like the pandemic all over again because, going around the building and looking for spots to shoot has always been fun during that time. And here we are again. So like I said, hopefully we'll have a podcast. I've been reticent about doing a podcast. I don't want to start this because it's not what this video is necessarily about. But yeah, I do have a lot to discuss outside of just Wonderland. So look forward to that very soon. I want to say hello to any new subscribers. There's been a lot of new ones on the channel, and I'm very grateful for that. It definitely keeps me going with the videos and making sure that I go out there and get content for you guys. There's obviously been a lot of changes with the channel recently as far as what we focus on. We are still here to talk about Wonderland. We are not a Wonderland expert, and nor do we propose ourselves as that, if that's the right thing to say. But yeah, I've been going there since the park opened. Thus, that's why it's a primary part of this channel's content. But that's obviously going to change very soon until the main thing of what we're here to talk about today. Let's see who's behind me because some people might be barbecuing in the background, but that's only just to entice you. All right, I think you guys can hear me. So let's rock. The survey that Wonderland sent out today, I'm sure it's old news already because I'm not the only one that got it. But it definitely had some interesting insights as far as what the park is focusing on for the future as far as its next major ride. I'm just going to say it right out of the gate when I was thinking about it coming up the stairs, that I think this probably represents two, if not all three, of the next major additions to the park. It would have to, in a sense, that two of the designs are the same type of coaster model, but these are real big ideas, really, that fall in line, one maybe not at all with what we were thinking, but two big ideas that obviously there's going to be a lot of R&D and concept work involved in putting them together if they come to fruition. So I could see the park actually following through on probably both of those. And then the second option is just so outlandish and crazy and really is reminiscent of a coaster that everybody wishes that they had ridden, including myself, that hadn't. So yeah, this is wild news. It really is the most exciting thing that happened today. They had a bunch of other things to do, and then suddenly this just got thrown on my plate. And it's a good thing that I decided to do the survey, because normally you're like, survey, do I really care about that? But if you read the print, it's like, hey, we want to find out what you think about our new attractions that we're thinking about doing. So this is probably the most exciting thing that the park has done in quite some time as far as communication with its customers. Because I don't know how many people got the survey. Maybe everybody got the survey, but it's still worth talking about because it's exciting news. It's probably being posted on Narcity as we speak. So besides that, yes. So what is option one as they proposed to us? Well, it was obvious what they're going to do or planning to do with the Kingswood Music Theater. as a coaster, a B&M wing coaster concept that revolves around Canadian rock music, a la a rock and roller coaster launched, I believe, wing coaster from B&M that, from what the description sounds like, is going to actually blast through a screen on the stage of the old Kingswood Music Theatre stage. That's what I'm putting together here. It could be a whole different thing, and it's the former Days of Thunder Theater / Action Theater, whatever it's called now, defunct theater, haunt manor, not ghost manor, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's a fascinating idea. I don't know if I like the idea of more pop music or just general rock and sort of radio-friendly music being played in the park. From my perspective, maybe a bit selfish, but I do hearken to those old days of the past when the park, yeah, it played theme music in the theme park when it was deliberately supposed to be a theme park. So I wouldn't mind it going back to that. Obvious connections, and the whole idea is basically rock and roller coaster. Let's not kid ourselves with a Canadian theme. And also, if it's put in that area of the park, Grand World Expo, that kind of gives you an idea that maybe they have another Canadiana theme going for that area as well. But, you know, I think it's a good idea. It's probably the one that leaves me the least excited, let's say, other than the fact that everyone's rumored, or, you know, for the most popular channels for that focus on Canada's Wonderland, you know who you are. The rumor of a wing coaster in that area has been around for it's been swirling about there for quite some time. It wouldn't surprise me. It's not what I really want. So yeah, it leaves me a little bit lukewarm in that regard. I'm going to roll off just because it's hard to read the questions from this distance. So I'm just going to make sure I get through all three of the major ideas first, and then I'll definitely look at the questions and comments. Second option, and really the wildest one, and I didn't see this coming from anywhere, and really it kind of got me excited about where Wonderland is going with their concept division, because yeah, this is really, outside of it being a completely plagiarized idea, really one of the most unique, and this is the one that I voted for. This is the one that I was like, okay, I would definitely be coming to the park on opening day, if not in advance, if I got the invite, which is leading to another thing. Because yeah, like it's absolutely astronomical what they have proposed that they might want to do with Wonder Mountain, which is to essentially put a volcano-style roller coaster out through the center of the mountain. Yet again, another B&M launched wing coaster. That's all you got to say, really. And even with fire effects and that as added on in the concept art, in the original imagery, I'm not sharing any of that because I don't think it's really appropriate to share that right now, because it is in the early phases of what's going on. In fact, even discussing this, you know, I'm sure that they knew that the park knew that this information would get out there. So I hope I'm not stepping on any or, you know, causing any harm to the park in that regard, but I'm sure I'm not. And that we'll get onto that in a moment too. But yeah, this concept is crazy. So it's Volcano the Blast Coaster from King's Dominion, basically Wonderland's version. Straight out of the center of the mountain. This will be the fourth coaster that actually uses Wonder Mountain as a base for the ride. It's crazy. I can't believe that they're even coming up with this concept. My original response was, this was kind of like a very problematic project at another park, so I'm not so sure it makes sense to try it again. But B&M is a very reliable manufacturer. It didn't say in the description that B&M was the manufacturer, but it being a launch wing coaster, we can only probably presume that that is the case. So yeah, it really, outside of it just giving the general descriptions of after you blast out of the mountain, you'll go through some wild turns and sensations. So you're not really getting a description of what elements are actually going to be in the ride, other than the fact that there'd probably be inversions. Looks like an incredible concept. I definitely voted for it. I don't necessarily like the idea that it is another park sort of baby, but it may bring King's Dominion fans to Wonderland for sure. I'd say from an enthusiast standpoint, that is the de facto coaster. If they opened it, you're talking globally, enthusiasts around the world wouldn't be humming and hawing about whether or not to go to Wonderland because they're just not sure whether or not Yukon Striker is that good of a ride. They would be coming to Wonderland to ride that coaster without question. My main problem, however, and I'm sure a lot of people said it, was I worry about Wonderland itself, or Wonder Mountain itself. It definitely truncates that original vista of what Wonder Mountain is. When you're coming in through the park in the entrance, you're going to see that first, which is great. And then when you stand on the bridge and look the other way, you see Leviathan behind you. So, it would be a great framing for the park as far as the coasters are concerned. But I just like, from a nostalgia standpoint, I definitely feel like Wonder Mountain should kind of stay as it is. They've done a good job of making sure that at least that side of it has remained intact and visually as it was, say, when the park opened, with a slight exception of Thunder Run on the right-hand side. But essentially, it looks the same as it did opening weekend way back in 1981. So, it is the one that I would want. I'm just going to make a slight adjustment on the camera, make sure that you guys don't lose me. That's the only drawback, I'd say. And I just don't know how they're going to pull that off with Vortex already being up there too. But that's more the reason why I want to see it, because if that is the concept and they're planning on keeping Guardian, which I also don't know how that would work, I think that you'd probably have to sacrifice Guardian in order to get this ride into the mountain. I physically don't know how they're planning on doing it, but that definitely seems to be a ride that would have to be sacrificed. And I'm sure Wonderland, just as an aside, I believe even though Cedar Fair looks to be opening other Snoopy's Racing Railways and other parks maybe in the future, I think Wonderland is very keen on keeping their coaster count as high as it is, which is why they put that ride in early, so that way when they get rid of Time Warp, which is eventually going to happen at some point, they can immediately replace the coaster count number and keep it steady, as they have with the addition of Snoopy's. So this is exciting. I think that all these rides are going to be probably proposed for 2025 realistically, although these first two concepts that I just described, I feel like they would take the better part of 2 years to construct. So we're probably talking about 2026 if either of those are actually on the table. So I hate to say that, but no one wants to wait that long, especially considering that will probably put us in frame for having, well, it would still keep us on track for having 3 roller coasters in 10 years, as Wonderland generally does. But yeah, it doesn't mean that we're going to have 3 thrilling coasters in that time frame. But we can't be greedy now, can we? We've certainly been treated well in the 2000s, ever since the Dark Ages. And those of us that know, we know. So third concept, right, was basically a wood concept. I'm pretty sure it's kind of a clone of Zambezi Zinger. That's kind of what it looked like to me, with a circular lift hill of some sort. I could be wrong. The profiling and the detail in the artwork wasn't the greatest, so I couldn't entirely make out the profiling exactly, but it certainly looked similar to that idea and setup, which I welcome. I think actually my response being, I feel that the park definitely needs to benefit from all the advances of wood coaster technology over the years. We used to be, and still technically are, a haven for wood roller coasters, and to add a modern one to the arsenal only makes sense. And to add one in that section of the park, i.e. behind Wonder Mountain and the Yukon, now Frontier Canada. Why am I gapping out? Yukon Canada, section of the park. So yeah, I think that would be an excellent addition. I would not feel, even though knowing what they have concept-wise with these other 2 rides and these 2 launch coasters and these 2 wing coasters, excuse me, outside pollen season. It honestly doesn't, it would not treat me wrong. I would definitely be just as excited going to check out that wood coaster, if that's the direction that they went. And I kind of really want that coaster to be nestled in the woods as best as they could, to not, take too much away from the forest feel of that section of the park, which it should have forever, as long as it's Frontier Canada. But I think it would be an excellent addition, and well overdue. A lot of coasters have GCIs nowadays, and we still, now there's tons of other wood coaster manufacturers that are now building steel hybrids, in the time that, say, coasters got to the point where they were doing lots of overbank turns and lots of other sensations that, say, steeper drops and that kind of thing, which Wonderland hasn't been able to benefit from over the years. Probably going to happen to Wild Beast, though. Let's not kid ourselves. I think that that's what's probably going to happen to Wild Beast. And I kind of hope so, too. I think that it's going to get the King's Dominion treatment, as it should, even though I still think it's not that bad of a ride like people like to complain. All right, let's look at some of the chat, because I think that it's a little low. Yeah, Kingswood. Yeah, it would be a great idea to sort of honor Kingswood essentially because it obviously has a big, it's big in the park's history. It's really kind of seminal for what the park was all about back in the '80s. There's a lot of famous Canadian artists that have played there over the years. My favorite band of all time, which isn't Canadian, but they played there back in the '80s, and it's on YouTube and it's New Order. Famous show. So yeah, it's really got a big. I wouldn't want to be in that area of the park and think this is where that stage used to be, and there'd be nothing to sort of honor that past. I would definitely want to see that recognized. So it's an interesting idea. It definitely sounds like the one that they'll probably go with, to be honest, being Wonderland and just being Canada and what we generally try to do with Canadian themed stuff. I would not be surprised. You could put product tie-ins there, music tie-ins. Like it's iHeartRadio presents this ride. Like it probably could happen. But yeah, I think it's the least exciting of the three. Definitely, we're all going to really, if this gets out there and gets rumored about, I'm guarantee everybody's going to want option 2. But option 3, I'm going to probably put my money on that maybe being the one because of Zambezi and the relationship that Cedar Fair has with the GCI because of that design concept. They want to roll out some more of them. The ride proves to be reliable, then I would say that it's probably going to be put in other parks soon. And Wonderland certainly could use one, I would say for sure. Because it's a great wood coaster. While we still technically do have a great wood coaster, I'll let you decide what that is. I think it would be a great addition to the park, no matter what. Exciting nonetheless, getting this email survey. I'm probably, like I said, one of 32 million people that got it, but I figured I'd discuss it anyway in relation to the fact that obviously Wonderland has a big part of the channel. And I do have to mention one thing, and I'm just going to make it on one aside and try to be as cordial as possible with it, in the sense that I definitely feel like I have a lot of presence at Wonderland. I definitely try as best as I can to say hello to anyone who recognizes me at the park. I am a bit shy, despite doing what I do. I am very focused on getting the coverage that I get too. So, it's what I'm getting at is, unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend the media day for Tundra Twister, despite trying. So I'm not going to use this as a sort of a detrimental relationship with the park, but there's definitely something I think I'm not doing right. So because of that, I feel like I won't be going to the park that much more. But when I do go to the park, feel free to say hi. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not mean-spirited. I don't know what happened there, but there was definitely something going on. So, it's unfortunate. Just feel like I should mention it just because I definitely do like the new ride, and I definitely love my home park. And if anybody was wondering, well, why wasn't I there? I don't know. So besides that, final comments on the future of the channel. Like I said, there's going to be a podcast coming soon. Thank you all for who that has subscribed recently. I do have another visit to Wonderland coming. It's tomorrow, so if you're at the park, I'll definitely be there and definitely say hello. And it will be the last time I'm at the park until August. So, and then I'm only got two. I probably only have 2 other visits to the park. One in August and one for Haunt. I don't think I'll be vlogging in August, and Haunt I'm on the fence about, because as I said, there's going to be some changes in the channel. We're focusing a lot on Canadian attractions and stuff local. Come Haunt season, there is another massive trip planned where we're going to be going to a lot of new parks. But please do, we've gone to a ton of parks in the past year, so the fact that during the busy season I'm not actually out getting coverage of all the new stuff seems a little bit weird, but it's just for where we're going in the future and for what's coming in 2024, because I have a feeling there's going to be bigger plans down the road there, that we want to hit certain parks when their new rides come out. That all being said, Silver Dollar City, that is the one park that I have to get to before the year is out. And then once that's done, I will definitely be giving you guys my coaster summary, my favorites and all that jazz, and reviews of each of the hundreds that I've been on through the world now, because it's definitely overdue. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. It's been very exciting news coming down the pipeline today from Wonderland. Who knows when this is going to happen? 2025? Like I said, if the wood coaster is the one that they go with, and maybe this survey was just trying to get to feel the waters and see what people are thinking about those three designs, and saying, you know what, we'll sign off on the wood one. If enough people are excited about it, then that definitely would be a ride that you'd see within 2 years' time, without question. The wing coasters, I just don't realistically see them happening by 2025. If they're asking the general public now, hey, which one do you like better? You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's a little too late. You need more than a year and a half to get that running after you've signed off all your contracts with your construction companies, your vendors. Sorry, I'm gapping out on words today. It's been a long day and a lot's gone on. So yeah, exciting news. So we'll see. Obviously tomorrow we're going to have to look for markers and see what is up, especially with this new blast coaster coming out of Wonder Mountain. I didn't know Wonder Mountain was a volcano, but apparently it is. All right, guys, thanks for dropping in. I would want to make sure, because JB retracted a bunch of messages just before I go, that I didn't miss anybody on the chat. I hope the coaster isn't an eyesore for the mountains. Sorry, I was de-spamming. Yeah, you don't want to spam now, JB. Although I probably would not delete you anyway. Your contributions are well appreciated, without question. Sometimes I just can't keep up with the comments now. We're getting to a point where I can't actually get enough. The editing is what it is. It takes a lot of time to edit these videos too. Camp Fortune's the next one, which I'm excited to share. It's actually one of the best vlogs I think that we've ever done, through participation with the park, and a park that hasn't got a vlog yet out there. So again, like I'm saying, I'm trying to find these attractions that need coverage that aren't getting the love that they should. And they have a pipe coaster out there that actually was fantastic, and probably one of the best coasters, steel coasters in the country, oddly enough, like family-wise, I'd say. It was definitely very exciting. So what's this about a new ride? You're going to have to go back, because this is the wrap of the video, B-Man. But yeah, as I've just finished up discussing everything. But yeah, apparently there's a new ride coming. Yeah, I'd say from just the chat alone, because I know that some of you are Wonderland Seasons Pass holders, that not everybody got it. Obviously, I'm going to close this up and check out what the main YouTube vlogger on this subject has to say, because no doubt, you know, I've mentioned them many times as far as the research and everything, and respect everything, because I watch that channel as much as probably any enthusiast does. Yeah, I'm definitely not. I'm not that channel. I'm not trying to be that channel. That's not what we're about. But it's very. You definitely know what I'm talking about. Yes, chat. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I don't really involve myself with rumors. I don't really want to clog up this channel too much with that. So it's really only Wonderland specific stuff that I'll discuss, and other things that are local, like Marineland, Niagara Amusement Park, which like I said, I have a podcast to talk, and I got a lot to talk about, including inclement weather, as you see around us, which isn't really that inclement. But inclement weather is enough for many parks to just suddenly close for the entire day. If you watch the Marineland vlog, you'll maybe get a bit of an insight in the fact that a lot of park employees seem to want hours, but they're not getting them because the parks are deciding to close regardless of whether or not there's business there to be had or not. So we're in a dangerous time with some theme parks. If you watch another theme park channel, which I won't mention the name of, but you'll probably be able to guess, this is a fun game, but they are literally probably the #1 theme park channel out there. And part of the reason why I've started this channel anyway, because a lot of what I do, I think, models that channel for sure. The parks that they went to on their recent tour of the States, a massive tour, most of the parks were pretty empty and not busy. So it's a challenging time, I would have to say. I just want to see if anybody guessed that. Message deleted. Oh, we got his launch wing coast apparently didn't get the email. I'm using. So I'm wondering if this ride. Yeah, sorry. Just reading the comments. Yeah, we need. I'm going to Niagara Amusement Park, obviously, in the future. I'm not entirely sure what's going on, though. They've had some challenges. I don't think that the laser loop is going to ever come back. Let's just not kid ourselves. The shuttle, I think it's done. The investment is just not going to go anywhere as far as getting it up and running. If it feasibly could be reconstructed and they could have a team on looking at it, it would have happened by now. So maybe just put it in a museum on site. Hate to say it, but if you want to get on one of those, you're going to have to go to Japan. And I forget where the other one is, but yeah, the shuttle loop, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen. And a lot of the other rides, if you go to Niagara Amusement Park right now versus the late season last year, this is now turning into the vlog or into the podcast. If you went last year to now, you would be like, there's no new rides. Like you guys said that you had about a dozen new rides that you were teasing, 10 new attractions that they were teasing throughout the off season that were due to open this year. So stay tuned for an update on that. Obviously, I've been kind of waiting a while, again, to lean back to what I was saying earlier about travel plans. A lot of parks, including Zambezi, Zinger, they've had difficulties getting these rides open. So because of that, I haven't made any major commitment to going to these parks because I don't want to show up to ride a new ride and it not be running. So it makes more sense to go, say, in the late season in September, October to get those rides to guarantee I can get as many of those rides. And for other parks that I don't have all the credits for, because for places like Six Flags St. Louis and that, I want to get all those credits. It's super dark. I'm very sorry that the camera's super dark. But again, like I said, in the actual podcast, which this is now suddenly turning into, I'll have adjusted that and it will be indoors. So yeah, it's interesting to see what's going to go on with Niagara Amusement Park. I'm desperate to get back. I'm desperate for them to get that out of the roller coaster up and running. I also will be doing Seabreeze and Darien Lake. That's coming very soon. Probably in a couple weeks' time, I'll be getting out there. But there is 10 or a dozen vlogs still to come that haven't even hit the channel yet, that I'm not really going to disclose what they are, but they're all Canadiana. So look forward to a lot of Montreal, Ottawa related, and Niagara Falls related vlogs coming soon. And obviously Wonderland's vlog from tomorrow, which will be kind of like a personal history. I've never really told my story at Wonderland. And since I feel like my vlogging future is coming to that, this journey of being a vlogger at Wonderland, I think is coming to an end now. It's definitely coming to an end. Let's not kid ourselves. I'm not going to be doing half a dozen vlogs from Wonderland every year. This point forward, this is the last year I'll probably be doing 3 or 4. And next year, I think I might do 1. And the reason is the channel is going to focus more on story-based stuff, not story-based, but documentaries and other attractions that, say, don't get the love, like I said, that Wonderland gets, with plenty of coverage from all you guys that are vloggers that do cover the park as well excellently. So yeah, it's definitely time to spread it out a bit more, and some more personal stuff that I'm more interested in too. A lot more nature is coming to the channel, I'll say that. So hopefully everybody, this is Canada, it's a beautiful country, and obviously one that people are fascinated with. I'm not afraid of moose, but some people are. So yeah, that's the stuff that we'll be exploring. All right, sorry. Another aside, other plans, definitely. Wonderland, obviously, La Ronde, we just covered. So that I'm not going to be going back to La Ronde until August for the fireworks that are coming in the future. Hopefully, we might get some news about something coming to La Ronde soon. That's kind of the reason why we're going to go, because mid-August, if La Ronde, which really, if you think about any major park that is long overdue, there's some parks like Michigan's Adventure that come to mind, Six Flags America, lots of other parks that are smaller that are well overdue for another major attraction. But we're talking Montreal. Washington's a big city, but Montreal is the second biggest city in the country, and they are really neglected in Montreal. It's not really fair, because at the end of the day, if they had the investment that, say, Wonderland had gotten over the years, it seems like an obvious statement, but the park would be an excellent park. I still have a love for it. It is a rough and ready park. It's something that you have to grow to love without question. I wouldn't say I love it. That's a strong word. But yeah, it's definitely fun and loose. And it's a little less pretentious than, say, Wonderland can be at times, if that makes any sense. But yeah, it's just a unique park with so much history to it. And if it had actually been loved over the years, it could still be one of the best theme parks in the world. But now it's anything but that. So yeah. All right. I'm sure there's a lot more. I should look at more questions because yeah, it'll trigger me. So it was rumored in the late 90s that Wonderland was going to get a roller coaster like Volcano. I'm glad it did not happen because yes, I agree, Aldo. And hello, Aldo. Excellent, Aldo. Wonderland historian, who I almost put in my last documentary because I found an article about Aldo. But it just time constraints. I just wanted to keep things a little bit more lean. But yeah, I'm not so sure we want to ruin that image of Wonder Mountain. It's so iconic. I love the idea. Maybe something else can come of it. I was thinking the other day that it would be interesting if they even extended Wonder Mountain in a way to kind of make Frontier Canada a little bit more fuller in that section, because with Lazy Bear Lodge being where it is, it's very odd trying to conceptualize the fact that when you're coming around the front of that, you're coming through Action, you leave Frontier Canada, you're going through Action Zone as you go by Skyhawk and that and Windseeker, and then suddenly you're in Frontier Canada again as you get up to Lazy Bear up on top of the hill. So yeah, a little bit weird. So my proposal was maybe right in front of Lazy Bear, if they had sort of an extension to Wonder Mountain that built out in that side, or on the opposite side of Vortex's lift hill, if you were to build an extension of Wonder Mountain in that area and then had paths go through it. So that way you had, say, if you've been to the washrooms in Wonder Mountain, you know that there's already kind of like a bit of that kind of feel in the front part of that tunnel. I hate to reference Tokyo Disney Sea, but it's the truth of the matter is that if Wonderland really wants to go in on theming, then that would be a fantastic addition. You'd have a tunnel, then you could have a structure. That structure could also house where that coaster could blast out in, say, an area where all those concessions and stuff in International Festival are. So instead make the mountain the barrier for International Festival, if you're following me. And then as you're approaching Vortex from there, then you'd have this whole new extension of the mountain structure. I'm digressing. I'm not part of Wonderland R&D, but sometimes I spitball these things in my head, and that's probably why I got that survey. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. More things if I might have missed. Green Shuttle Loop, raw over a year. Yeah, what a waste. It is a waste. It sucks. It's absolutely not going to end up happening. Back in the city, you see Wonder Mountain sitting at the 400 drive in Weston. It was dark. I did remember the 400 drive, and I was talking about someone about that yesterday, actually, and focus on what gets the most views and interactions. Yeah, and let's just say I'm not going to talk about YouTube analytics, other than the fact that YouTube analytics is designed to be just as addictive as Instagram. I'll say that much. So if anything, for anyone if I want to give any advice for anyone that's running a YouTube channel and wants a little insider tip, like the biggest thing for sure is to just have your own thing that you want to do and stick to it and keep pumping those out. Because as much as my channel is definitely it does a lot of similar content to others, there is the underlying content, which is my Reprofile series, which is really the baby, and the documentaries, which are basically part of that, which are my baby of the channel. It's what I love to do. It's reflective of my past and what I used to do in media. It really is a passion, and I love doing it. So that's the number one thing. But secondly, if I could do it, but unfortunately, I think we're all victim of it. And I have YouTubers that I'd love to ask this question of too, because I need to walk away from analytics, because it consumes you. You're just looking at like how many subscribers you could potentially be getting in a certain time frame, bumps, and it's all designed for you to be obsessed over it. Now that I'm saying this on YouTube, they're going to get upset with me, and Hopefully not YouTube. I love you. I love YouTube too, and that's not understatement at all. So yeah, it's I definitely am taking a bit of a step away from analytics. That's all I'm going to say, because it can be an obsession. Um, and the interactions is the other thing too. And I'm going to end it on this, just in case anyone who's watching is watching. And you get some interesting interactions. Like I said, we all know the major. I've been called names in parks, not in Canada, in cities I'm not from, and I'm not really safe because I'm on my own, um, and harassed, and it's happened. It hasn't really bothered me as much as I'd say some people, maybe because I've dealt with it in the past, just in a general sense of my upbringing and where I grew up and all that kind of stuff. So it never really bothered me as much. I'm not one to shy away from that kind of stuff, but it does get to a point where you do get interactions that happen a little too frequent, and you realize that you've gone down a different path. And I appreciate every aspect of YouTube, but once you get to a certain point, you have to walk away from some interactions too, because they get a little too different. Let's just say so. But we appreciate every view regardless. All right, this is going to get very dark. Not just in tone from what I'm saying, and I don't want to end it that way, but just in the light. But thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for dropping in. Podcast coming soon. Definitely give this a like or comment if you actually want to see that, because obviously there's a bit of work that goes into the podcasts, and I'm not so sure podcasts are a thing anymore. It seems kind of silly, but what I will say is that I obviously had 20 odd episodes of a podcast-ish thing going on this channel back in the day during the pandemic, and they're not there right now, but they'll return based on the success of any potential podcast in the future. I'm looking at avenues to put that back up. I think I might put it on Patreon, essentially, for anybody that's really interested in seeing me shoot my mouth off back in the day about everything that was going on in that very exciting time. Hire as bodyguard, yes, but at the same time, I would have to pay for your room and board and your flight to the park. So I'm not there yet, but I definitely I'm accepting the application, B-Man, without question. Documentaries. I look forward to more deep dives. The Schwarzkopf material. Yeah, I definitely want to do another Schwarzkopf one. Again, definitely comment, because I do read all these comments for anything that people want me to go down deep dives on. The profiles are coming back, and there's just to give you an idea, there's obviously the Laurent series. The fourth part will be coming in the short term, and I'm also going to be completing the Wonderland series. The Wonderland series is a big conclusion because that's it. So I'm trying to make sure that it is the best that it possibly can be, because there's obviously a lot of time and effort that go into those. Once it's done, then it'll all be sandwiched together into a final film, of which I'll fix some of the sound and stuff that back in the day I was a little less forgiving or more forgiving of than I am now. And then beyond that, we have a couple other. There's a In Defense of Le Monstre I want to do, because I feel after my last ride on it that it doesn't actually get the appreciation it deserves, because it's not as bad of a ride as people think. And I actually rate it highly based on my previous experience. There is a series. I don't think enough people are watching this to worry about it being stolen or anything, but look out for a series or a new film called Attack of the Titans, which you can probably piece together what that's about. And that will be a reprofiles for sure, as reprofiles generally play with fact and fiction in a fun way with roller coaster history. That's the whole idea. So some things are factual, some things they're always factual, but what it could be connected to sometimes may not be, let's say. And also the Curse of Kings Island 2 will be coming. There's plenty of videos about similar subject matter, but I feel that it's my turn to tell that story. And then also I'm going to do the same for Great Adventure in a new series, as unfortunately the tragic past of that park needs to be discussed. And then finally, another one, because this is not really theme park related, but it is in a way. But I did discover a very disturbing account of events that occurred outside of La Ronde in the 70s, which still actually affects the park in a way today. It's really kind of like the details are not great to read. In fact, it's been very harrowing to read some of it. It makes you really think about where we are today in the park history. So I'm really on the fence about putting the film together because it deals with some difficult subject matter. But at the same time, I feel like it's a story that needs to be told because I think a lot of people at La Ronde don't know really a lot of the history of the park in that regard. So I didn't include it as part of the main series because I felt the story was a little too dark to put in the main film, given just the general tone of the main film. But I feel like this is a film that needs to be told. Like it's a film. It's a documentary. It could probably be an hour and a half documentary, actually. So we'll see over time as it builds how it goes. But look out for that because it's going to be probably the first proper film that I produce for this channel, as far as like a standalone piece that's a full film, a full documentary film. All right. Oh my God, we're still going, aren't we? Exciting times. All right, there's a lot of content here about Wonderland, and I just keep digressing and other stuff. So I'll see anyone at the park tomorrow. Another thing I should mention it, but the vlog will come up anyway, but there's a couple of exciting other vlogs coming from the Wonderland area. If you like my transit video, I've come up with another concept of how to get to the park at a time when Toronto is not entirely safe on its subways. So I've decided no more subways to Wonderland. I live in downtown Toronto, so it doesn't really make sense having a car. But there is another way to get to Wonderland, and I'm going to be doing that tomorrow. So I look forward to sharing that with you guys. For anybody that's just got here, the TTC one, F the TTC. Yeah, the TTC. And unfortunately, I just want to say, I shouldn't even mention it on this vlog, but it's a tough time in Toronto right now. And obviously very bad, very unfortunate weekend. It was a big tragedy that happened just in my neighborhood. So I've been constantly, it seems to be a subject of this channel in the 4 years that it's been on air now. Just watching the city, unfortunately, kind of get a little bit more dangerous year by year. And I hope that that is not going to continue to much further. But either way, I'm not going to take the TTC because of that. Always take the GO. Yes, I'm actually thinking about doing that new GO route because I think it makes more sense to go up to Rutherford Road and go across. So I might do a vlog on that. But I'm taking a bike to Wonderland tomorrow, and I'm going to see how long it takes to get there. So from the heart of downtown Toronto. So stay tuned for that. Fortunately, it will not be 35 degrees, so that's why we're doing it tomorrow. And then we're going to probably go on Cliffhanger if it's open. We're going to go on Riptide if it's open. We're going to go on Whitewater Canyon. We're going to go on all these rides that I didn't cover in the other two vlogs, give my personal history in relation to the park. Because when you go to the Wonderland, certain things kind of trigger you in the positive way, maybe sometimes in the negative, of things that happened in your past when you've been going there as long as I have. I can't cover... Oh, sorry, guys. Okay, sorry, I didn't press the button, but thank you everyone that stayed because I still wanted to hit what happened. Oh, come on. Okay, maybe that's a sign. Yeah, this is.